everything that I had to deal with in life before, all that stuff ended. And I'm married, I'm a husband, I've got my wife, we've got Chastity, and things are going to get better, but they didn't get better. Yeah. My name's Stephen Moody. I was born in Birmingham, Alabama. Grew up between Etowah County and Jefferson County. I'm the youth pastor here at Moody-Their Baptist Church. Grew up, parents got divorced when I was about 7, I believe. You know, and I remember as soon as they got divorced, things just changed drastically. You know, we were back and forth between Mom's house and between Dad's house. But I just remember it never being right. I just remember it was more difficult, I think, trying to realize what a family was than it should have been. It was a mess. It really was, and I think I'm still learning to this day what family's supposed to be, because of the idea of what I thought it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close to a good worldly view of what family was supposed to be. Went to Etowah Middle School a couple years, went to Etowah High School a year, I think, back and forth to Just Lanier High School in Bessemer. Somewhere along the lines, got mixed up in drugs and alcohol and just the party life. I had really no ambition to do much. I just wanted to have fun. I just wanted to do what everybody else was doing, and that's kind of where I was at when I was about 17. I think I was 17 when I met her.
Okay, I'm Katie Moody. I'm from Ballplay, but I was born and raised here. I was always a quiet girl in school. I never did no drugs, didn't party, didn't drink. My dad was an alcoholic, so that led me from doing anything like that. And then later on, whenever I was probably about 13 or so, my dad quit drinking. And then whenever I got in high school, I met this boy, and it didn't lead me the right path. I ended up having a daughter at 17. A month after I turned 17, she was born, and I was in 11th grade. So my whole senior year, you know, I was a mom. I had worked a job, went to school. That relationship just did not go as planned. It really wasn't a relationship. So I was working at Pewigly, and then this is where I met Stephen. And I thought he was a stalker. But he was waiting, his car was waiting by my car, and I'm like scared, and I don't know this guy, so I had my car moved, and then I jetted home. And then he called, and we talked all night long.
So I get a job as a carpenter's helper, and I was on my way home from work one evening. My sister had called or something. I don't know, I may have called a ride with her. I just can't remember. But we ended up at the grocery store, and we went in the grocery store in Oaks Bluff. And I turned the corner, and there was Candy standing there working in the deli. And I was a very prideful individual, so it wasn't, I don't know, man, I just had issues talking to this girl. And so we get back to the car, and I'm all nervous, and I asked my sister, I was like, hey, you know who that is? And she said, yeah, that's Candy Patterson. I don't know, she was a couple years behind me in school, and I said, why don't you go get her phone number for me? And sure enough, she walked in there and got her phone number and brought it back out, and I called her. We talked for a really long time, and it just kind of just went from there. I don't really know how to explain it. It just worked. It just worked well. You know, had a good time. She had her daughter already, and I remember the first time that she brought her. It might take 5 minutes. I remember the first time that she brought her around. She was great. Reminded me of her mother. You know, I figured a lot out about Candy by how she'd done things. She had a good drive about herself. She had handled so many things in so many good ways. And I proposed to her, and she said yes, of course. Well, wouldn't she? And we get married. We were still 18 and 19, I think. 18 and 19. Really still don't have a clue about anything. All we knew is we were getting married, and we were going to be married, and this was great. This was like, for me, this was like a defining moment in my life. This is where everything gets to normal. This is where everything that I had to deal with in life before, all that stuff ended. And I'm married, I'm a husband, I've got my wife, we've got Chastity, and things are going to get better, but they didn't get better. We fought all the time. It was always my way. I was almost a tyrant. I was very narcissistic, never take the blame about things, and my kids are seeing this. And I remember one point, I may not have this story exactly right, but I remember one point we had been married a year, and one of the godly examples in my life, and I didn't realize how much of a blessing he was at the time, but I would go to work every day. He would listen to me and Candy argue on the phone every day. I mean, just cussing and pitching a fit and just being ugly, and I'd throw the phone or hang up for the 30th time, and he'd say something like, "I can't believe you talked to your wife like that," or "I can't believe you said that," or "I can't believe you did this." So I told him one day, I said, "It don't matter." I said, "A year from now, I'll be divorced anyway." The church bus here at Union starts coming and picking up the kids, and Jay Watson would drive the bus and he'd stick that big old bald head out the window every time and say, "Y'all can come do it if you want," and I'd just wave and shut the door, Eventually, it got to the point where me trying to be a man on my own just wasn't working. I was seeing all the failure in my life. I was seeing my failure as a husband. I was seeing my failure as a dad. And one Sunday morning, I was just overwhelmed and compelled to get up and come to church with the kids. We'd get up. She was working on Sundays at the time. We get up, we get ready. I drive the whole way here, up the big old long driveway. I'm talking about how much these church people are going to judge us. And these are the people that have been loving on my kids, and I'm ripping on that. So we get in here, and it's nothing like I thought it was. It was the exact opposite of what I thought it was. Good people, loving people. Everyone just cared well. Genuine love that they had for us. And I left that day thinking, these people are different. They're different. So time rocked on, and we're attending, for probably about 6 months. And by this point, Candy's not having to work Sundays, and she's coming too. And I've kind of gotten the word a lot. I've kind of done the church thing. I'm going on outreach. I'm sharing the story of Christ with people in their homes. We're doing all these things. I just learned and that I just, thought we were supposed to do. And then I heard a message about the wheat and the tares, and how the wheat and the tares will be gathered by the harvester, and they'll look the same to everybody else, but when the harvester comes, he'll separate them. Even though the tares look a lot like them, they'll be thrown to the side. They'll be done away with. They'll be burned in the fire. And I'd read a lot of things in the scripture, just going through it, and I'd read in the book of John, I believe it says that I write these things so that you may know you have eternal life. And I had no clue, man. I had made a decision before to follow Christ, but that was part of my plan to be a man. It's just what people did. You take your family to church, you coach ball, you go fishing, you work really hard, you do all these things, you buy your wife a nice car, it's just all those things, that's what I did. And it got to the point where that just wasn't enough, and I didn't know that I knew Christ, and I surrendered my life to Christ that day, and He saved my soul.
Back in 2013, in October, we had the women's conference. That night, on Friday night, I left all emotional, all upset, because God was talking to me and I really just wasn't listening. home with Steven, and I had all kinds of feelings, and we kind of got into it, and then so I decided to sleep on the couch. Well, I woke up squalling like 2 or 3 times, just squalling because I knew I was not saved. At the end of the service Saturday, Joey come in at the end and, was there at the altar to, if anybody needed to be saved or whatever, he's like, I got a feeling there's just one more person. And I kept inching over, and I'm one of these bashful persons, and I'm like, it's me. But I'm not going because Stephen at this time was already in ministry, and I'm like, I can't do that to him because I've already been saved. And then I was like, but what led me to thinking I was not saved is like, I truly didn't give all my flaws and everything to God to be saved. It's like I couldn't let go of the past, like I don't feel like I was forgiven for having a daughter at such a young age. That's my biggest struggle, is how people see me. But it got to the point, my daughter was like half my age now, and so it's like very hard to explain, like, oh, you was that young when you had her? You're like my age. And it's like, stabs you in the heart. And so I just surrendered it all and gave it to God.
So after I got saved, it just so happened, I went to work for this company a couple years earlier, and the boss that I had about 6 years before that was working for the same company too. He was the one that had to listen to all that stuff, driving back and forth out of town. And I get there, and I know he's a believer. I go up to him and I tell him about me getting saved, and this is probably 7 years after we had quit working together. He pulls out his wallet and he has this piece of paper, and it has the date on it. And he said, on this day, Stephen Moody said he would be divorced within a year. And he had that piece of paper in his wallet, and he had been praying ever since that our marriage would work, that things would stick together. And it may not mean a lot to a lot of people, but that's outside of salvation, that's probably the greatest gift anybody's ever given me. The Lord called me to ministry about 12, 13 months after I got saved, maybe for that long. Fought that for a little bit, surrendered to the call of ministry. Still, that being there is still just, she's not saved yet. It's a burden. Not a burden, but it's a weight on our marriage, and then we're still figuring out who we are. We're still figuring out, how to even be married. Our oldest son ends up making a profession of faith. He gets saved, and our daughter, she ends up making a profession of faith. And as time rocks on, man, it's kind of just hit a groove there where things were just really good. Things were great, and then we learned what spiritual warfare was really quick, and we've learned how to, I know I'm rambling, but we've learned how to pray together as a family. We've learned how to put on the armor as a family. We've learned how to fight against the enemy in this world as a family. And I love the call to ministry that I have. It's one of the most joyful things that I have. I love kingdom work. I love students. I love leading people to the Lord. I love to be in the scriptures. I love to teach, and I love all those things. But where we are right now as a family is I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't trade it for 10 ministries, just like the one I'm involved with right now. We still have our moments. It is what it is. God bless us. But we know that there's victory in Christ, and we know tomorrow when we wake up, it's a new day and there's joy in it. And He has things for us. He has blessings for us. He has opportunities for us to serve. And no matter what the enemy tries to do, what he tries to put in our marriage, and I've made some bonehead mistakes since I got saved. I made some bonehead mistakes. The Lord still held us together, man. He's still working in us, working through us. And it's really just a joy. After Candy got saved, there was a change. It was still a struggle there, with her. I identity of herself, what she thought about herself. But she began to grow. She began to get in scripture. She began to, you know, it's crazy where we always used to butt heads. Now, you know, I say things and she trusts that it's right. You know, there's a respect there that I've never had before in my life. You know, and I get that from my wife. Even when I'm wrong, she still, you know, she gives me this look. And it's not a bad look, but she gives me kind of this sideways look, and she just stares for a minute, hoping I'm going to change my mind. But she's always there no matter what. I've seen her join up with high school, helping in there, helping Miss Christie teach 11th, 12th grade girls. I've seen her invest in girls. I've seen her do things I never thought I would see either one of us do. You know, and the fact of the matter is, you know, our family just wouldn't be what it is without the work that Christ has done in our lives. There just ain't no other way to put it. I'm Stephen.
I'm Candy.
And this is our story.